there are exactly 3 recycling centers in Rivertown: Center 1, Center 2, Center 3. Exactly 5 kinds of material are recycled at these recycling centers. There's G, N, P, T, and W. Each recycling center recycles at least 2, but no more than 3 of these kinds of material. Okay, so Center 1, Center 2, Center 3, they each have at least 2, and then at most 3. Is that okay? These spots I have to fill. The parentheses spots are optional. Any recycling center that recycles wood also recycles newsprint. Wood is the trigger, not newsprint. Wood is the trigger. If you have wood, then you have to have both wood and newsprint. In the contrapositive, if you don't have newsprint, sorry, this needs to look more like wood. If you don't have newsprint, then you cannot have wood. But that doesn't work the other way around. You can have newsprint without wood, but you can't have wood without newsprint. Every kind of material that Center 2 recycles is also recycled in Center 1. This is kind of a unique game. The games are highly improvisational. You have to come up with a system that works for you. My job is not to show you the perfect system. My job is to show you, hey, here's a thing that worked for me. Here's a thing that I understand. And hopefully you'll understand it too. So anything in Center 2 has to be in Center 1. I have to have at least 2 things in every center. So I can just go ahead and say that these spots are always equal. Okay, the arrow goes both ways there. Anything that's here has to be here. Anything that's here has to be here. Same thing with this spot. And then here it works a little bit differently because these spots are optional. But if there is something in this spot, then it has to be in Center 1 as well. But that doesn't then work the other way around. The third thing in Center 1, if there is no thing in Center 2, that's okay. That's acceptable. Now they can't have different things in that third spot. Yeah?
Why do those 2 arrows work both ways again?
Because I have to put at least 2 things in Center 2 that will have to go in Center 1. And I'm kind of choosing. Okay, I'm choosing to say, hey, they're always going to start with the same 2 things, and then there's this third optional spot. We don't even know if that's there. But they have to have at least 2 things that match. The third thing, if there is a third thing in Center 2, that gets forced into Center 1. But that arrow doesn't go the other way. There could be something in Center 1 that's not in Center 2, if it's the third thing.
Okay.
Okay? That's kind of arbitrary. I don't know that there's a game that's exactly like this ever in the history of the LSAT. If you think that you're going to just like memorize exactly the game types or whatever, I think that's total bullshit. I don't think that's the way the games work at all. I think you have to read the rules, follow the rules, improvise some sort of a solution. I really believe that's how it works. Last rule says only one of the recycling centers recycles plastic, and that center does not have glass. So I'm going to put a P and G are never together. That okay? I'm thinking I can make a couple of inferences. Sarah?
I was going to say, so you can't have a plastic in Center 2 because it would then go.
That's great. Sure. You can't ever have plastic in Center 2 because of this, the rule that there's only one plastic combined with anything in Center 2 has to go in Center 1 means that Center 2 just can't have plastic, period. That's a nice inference. That makes me actually start thinking about making 2 worlds, because plastic can only go in Center 1 and Center 3, and actually if plastic does go in Center 1, it'll be the third thing in Center 1, which means there is no third thing in Center 2, and that's like enough dominoes falling over that I don't think it'll take that long. I'll just go ahead and make these two templates. Okay, so first, if you're ever, like, when you get started making two scenarios, like, I don't know anybody who's really good at the games that doesn't make two scenarios sometimes. You must do this sometimes. You don't have to do it on every game. You hardly have to do it on any particular game. But you saw it crush game one today, right? And when it works, it tends to really work. So I would encourage you to look for opportunities to make two worlds. But the way you do it, it's a little tricky to get the hang of it. The first thing that you got to do is you really just have to make two identical copies of your board first. And then, now make the split, okay? So the split is, the reason I'm doing this is because plastic can't go in center 2. That was an inference that we made. We make that inference and we think, well, it can only go in center 1 or center 3. If it goes in center 3, that doesn't do really anything. But if it goes in center 1, because it can't be in center 2, it can only be that third optional thing in center 1. And then that knocks over this domino that this third spot in center 2 is now gone. There can't be anything. Center 2 now cannot have a third thing. Why? Because if it did, there'd have to be a third thing in center 1 that was not plastic. Okay, so this split, whether or not this turns out to be like awesomely useful, I just want you to understand how this split works, okay? We can go a step further here, I think. Actually, in both scenarios, if you have P, you cannot have G, right? So in center 1 now, because I have plastic in this world, I can't have G. In center 3 over here, because I have plastic, I can't have G. Yeah?
But you have to have N.
We'll get there. I'm following the baby steps, okay? If I can't have G in center 1, in this scenario here, then I can't have G in center 2. That make sense? Okay. Do I have to use G somewhere?
No.
Some of you are saying yes, some of you are saying no. That's interesting. Does it say it?
It says exactly 5 kinds of material are recycled at these recycling
Mmm.
centers.
I think you do.
Okay.
I think you do. And that's a nasty little trick, but it says exactly 5, it doesn't say exactly 5 kinds can be recycled. It says exactly 5 kinds are recycled at these 3 recycling centers. And I believe that means that we have to then use, if we can't have G in 1 and we can't have G in 2, I think we then have to have G in 3. Can we go further?
Can't have W in 3.
We can't have W in 3. Where? Yeah, I think we're okay. If we have wood, we have to have wood and newsprint, but I think that'll work. Yep.
So because you can't have P and you can't have G.
Here.
For number 2 has to be the same.
This is going to be good.
as
Good
one.
shit's going to happen right here.
That means that you can choose between T, W, and N.
Very good.
For both.
Very good.
N has to be, because you can't put W with T, because there's only 2 spots in one. Because if you put W with T, that would force N, which would mean you would try to put 4 spots in number 1.
Yeah.
So you know that N has to be in spot 1 and spot 2, and then between T and W.
I doubt I can say it better than that, but I do have to say it so I can say it in the microphone. So, center 2 here, we are limited now. We cannot have P, we cannot have G, and we have to have exactly 2 things. There's only 3 things that are available, right? No P, no G. So our options here are W N, and T. And I have to pick exactly 2 out of the 3. This rule here, if I don't take N, I can't have W. And the inference that we can make then is that I have to have N. This is a recurring pattern on the LSAT, so try to make sure you get this, because you're going to see this again. If you have to pick 2 out of 3, and if one of them requires another one, that one that's required is going to be in no matter what. Because if it were out, then the other one would have to be out too. Now you're left with just T, but I have to pick 2 out of 3. So if these are my choices, then center 2 must have N for sure. And if center 2 has N, then center 1 has to have N as well. That's nice. Now I don't have to have W there. Okay, this could be T or it could be W. That's the only choices, T or W, and that means that this spot can only also be T or W. G and P can't go together, so once I put a G here, this now can't be P. Also, I only ever have 1 plastic. So like in this world, I've already used my 1 plastic, so this can't be P. This is almost filled out. Man, what are my other choices here? I've got T, W, and N. Uh-oh. Oh wait, but I don't have to take 3 things. So this could be just N, it could be just T. If W's here, then it has to be W and N.
It's whatever's not used in the first 2, right?
Oh, because I haven't used a T and I haven't used a W yet. That's interesting. Oh, so I guess that means that this mandatory spot actually could be, it has to be either W or T in the mandatory spot. Because I haven't used one yet. Yep, that's right. Good. Then that means these 2 spots can't be equal. I've taught this game like 50 times, by the way, and I've never done it exactly this way before. And I think that's important. I want you to accept it that there is not a correct solution. There's just you figuring it out. However makes sense to you. There's certainly common patterns, there's common techniques, there's things that you'll see me do over and over and over. But even on one game this game is from 2007, so I've seen this game now for almost 10 years, and I've taught it to a million different classes, and I don't end up doing it exactly the same way every time. Sometimes I see inferences that I don't see the other times. And that's how it's going to be for you when you're doing whatever random section of games you end up with on the day of your test. One world I've got pretty almost filled out. I'm pretty happy about this. Over here seems like I still have a lot of flexibility. But I did nicely learn that, wait, let me think about this now. I have to use a G somewhere, right? Let's think about this. I've used plastic in world 3 here, or in recycling center 3. I have to use, if I have P here, I can't have G here. I have to have a G somewhere though. So that means now G has to go in 1 or 2. And if it goes in 2, it has to go in 1. Wait a minute, I have to use a G. It has to go in 1 or 2. If it goes in 1, then it's in 1. But if it goes in 2, then it's also in 1.
Want to do another rule?
No, I'm just going to put a G in world 1. I mean, I'm going to put a G in 1. Although it's a little fucked up though, because that could be the optional thing, right? Here, the G could go here, or it could go in both 1 and 2. And then that actually is, I think you're right, Roy. I think that that's actually right to go ahead now and split this. So I'm doing this based on where the G goes. I have to use a G somewhere. It can go in 1 or 2. If it goes in 2, then it also goes in 1. Or it could just go in 1, but if it just goes in 1, it'll have to be in that optional spot, meaning it can't be there. I think that's right. I think that's valid. And now can I go further? I have to use a T somewhere, but T can go kind of anywhere. I've got to use a W and an N. Wherever I use W, I have to have N. But I still see that could go here, that could go here. A lot of flexibility there. So I think I would just stop with these 3 templates now, and I definitely have never done the game exactly this way before. I'll stop with these 3 templates and see if that's enough to answer the questions. At some point, you have to stop and just say, okay, I've done a bunch of work, I've got a pretty good starting setup, now let me answer questions. So number 18 is a list question. I'll always be able to do this one by process of elimination. I'm going to look for, if you have wood, you have to have newsprint. So A, center 1 has wood and newsprint. Center 2 has wood and newsprint. Center 3 has wood but no newsprint, so A is out. B, I'm looking for wood. I see wood in center 3 and newsprint, so that's fine. C, I'm looking for wood. I see wood with newsprint in center 1, and that's it. That's good. D, I see wood in center 3 with newsprint. Good. E, I see wood in center 1 with newsprint. I see wood in center 2 with newsprint. That's fine. I'm going to look for plastic. There has to be exactly 1 plastic, and it can't have glass with it. So B has exactly 1 plastic, and there is no G with it. C, there's exactly 1 plastic, and there's no G with it. D, there's exactly 1 plastic, but it's with G, so D's out. E, I see 2 plastics, so E's out. I'm already down to just B and C. The only rule I haven't tested yet is if there's anything in center 1, center 2 has to be in center 1. So 18B, center 2 has G, N, and T, and that's exactly what center 1 has, so that looks fine. C, center 2 has G, N, and T, but center 1 has G, N, and W. So that gets rid of C. So my answer for number 18 is B. Now I'll do the if questions. So 20, 21, 22, 23, and then back to 19. 20 says, if center 2 recycles 3 kinds of material. Oh, nice. That's nice. My template's actually, it doesn't have to, this is like a lot of work, right? And some of you are rolling your eyes like, yeah, right, Nathan, I'm going to do that much shit. But watch what happens when you get to number 20. Number 20 says, hey, if center 2 has 3 things in it. And I go, well, that can't happen here. And it also can't happen here. So in order for center 2 to have 3 things in it, it has to have glass. Oh, and center 3 has to have plastic, and center 1 has to have glass. That right there might be enough to just answer the question, which one of the following kinds of material must center 3 recycle? Plastic. So the answer for number 20 is C. And if you didn't believe me before, I mean, maybe you believe me after you see that, because I would imagine that most of you would have spent a lot of time there trying to test that question, figure it out. But my templates anticipated that question. It's not rocket science to get there, actually. The first 2 templates actually got you there, right? Before I even made this split, the first 2 templates were plastic in 3 or plastic in 1. And when you put plastic in 1, you can't have 3 things in center 2. And that's the answer for number 20. So it was actually just that first split that answered number 20. All right. Number 20 is C. Number 21, if all the recycling centers recycle exactly 3 kinds of material. And again, I can't be here, I can't be here, I think I can only be here. Now, how do I fill all 3 spots? I'm going to make a special version of this. Actually, I'm going to do it in a different color. Hopefully I won't have to use this diagram again because I'm going to have to erase it. How do I fill up all of these spots? Or wait, let me just see if I can answer the question. which one of the following could be true? Only center 2 recycles glass. In this template? No. So the answer for 21 is not A. Only center 3 recycles newsprint. Maybe. Although if it was the only one that had newsprint, then it would also have to be the only one that had wood. Because if you have wood, you have to have newsprint. So that would be like this, wood and newsprint in center 3. The question then is, can I fill up center 1 and center 2 without newsprint and without wood? And without plastic? I just don't have enough things. So this doesn't work. I'm going to erase that. And that then is not the answer for number 21B, is not the answer. How about C? Only center 1 recycles plastic? No, I've already got plastic in center 3, so the answer for 21 is not C. D says only center 3 recycles tin. Maybe. I mean, I can kind of see it actually. If I went wood, newsprint, tin, newsprint, that would do it. And so that would be the end of my analysis. The answer for number 21 is D. That'll work. I proved that it's not A, B, or C. D, I don't see why not, and I actually think I proved it in my head at least that it would work. Let me just actually show you. It would look like, I mean, this is one way to do it. Sorry. So wood and newsprint, tin and newsprint. Now center 3 is the only one that has tin. That works, so 21D. All right, now I'm going to erase this. What I did right there is a no-no. You really want to never, once you make your main diagram, you don't write on the main diagram for the if questions. You make a new diagram for the if questions. If you ever, I see students doing it like in my one-on-one tutoring sessions. I'll see somebody, I'll say like, okay, show me how you would do this. And then I see them actually penciling in on the if questions. I see them drawing in on their main diagram and then erasing. And then I watch them as they forget to erase something out of the main diagram when they move on to the next question, or they erase too much out of the main diagram before they move to the next question. I'll do it sometimes because I have a whiteboard and 2 different colors of dry erase marker. But you don't have that on the day of the test. So on the day of the test, you need to be making new diagrams for all of the if questions, not on your main diagram. 22 says, if center 3 recycles glass, and once again, I know what world I'm in. I can't be here and I can't be here. I have to be here if center 3 recycles glass, and when center 3 recycles glass, I know almost everything. So I don't need to do any work here for 22. I'm just going to answer it. Which one of the following kinds of material must center 2 recycle? And the answer is newsprint. 22 is going to be B. And so you get, you're seeing me get just paid off for the 2 templates. 23, if center 1 is the only recycling center that recycles wood, that can't happen here. Because if I put wood here, I have to put it in center 2 as well, in this world where I've put plastic in center 3. So if center 1 is the only recycling center that recycles wood, that also can't happen here. Because if I put wood in this spot or this spot, it would have to be here as well. So the only place that center 1 can be the only one that recycles wood is here. Again, I'm using my different color dry erase markers, but that's what that scenario would look like. And if I do that, then center 2 can't have anything in the 3rd spot if center 1 is the only one that has wood. Once center 1 has wood, then it has to also have newsprint, which then forces center 2 to have newsprint. I still haven't used tin anywhere, and the only place for tin is over here. I guess this optionally could be newsprint. Is that right? But it can't be wood because 23 is saying if center 1 is the only one that has wood. So This can't be wood, can't be glass, could be newsprint in that spot. I'll just leave it blank because I don't know if it's there or not. Which one of the following could be a complete and accurate list of the kinds of material that one of the recycling centers recycles? So is it possible to have just plastic and tin? Well, right there I have just plastic and tin, and I don't have to put anything there. So the answer for 23 is going to be A. Then with all of that work done, I go back to number 19. Which one of the following, oh, this is easy too. Which one of the following is a complete and accurate list of the recycling centers, any one of which could recycle plastic? And we started with that. I mean, we figured out right away that plastic can only be in center 1 or center 3. And this question, you got to be careful here. It says which one of the following is a complete and accurate list of the recycling centers, any one of which could recycle plastic. So the answer is 1 and 3. And that is listed. So the answer for number 19 is D. If that question was worded slightly differently, you'd need a different answer. Because if it said which one of the following could be a list of the recycling centers that could recycle plastic, then the answer could only be 1 or 3, not 1 and 3. Because you can't have plastic in both 1 and 3 simultaneously. Be careful for that slightly different wording on that type of question. But yeah, 19 is D.